Take it away, Amber.
Thank you, Brian. Oh, wow, this sounds good. So I'd like to just take a picture of you all first for a keepsake. So everybody smile.
Same material.
Thank you. So, hi everyone. My name's Amber. I'm really excited to be here to talk to you today. I studied and worked in the field of psychology for many years and, like Brian said, switched careers to web development less than a year ago. And today I'm going to talk to you about psychology and the web. Anyone can be a developer. This is one of Treehouse's mantras. Sean Smith wrote about an unforgettable and life-changing 12 months going from working at a gym to becoming a software engineer. His story received well over 2,000 likes on the popular online publishing platform Medium. Code Conquest is a site that aims to give you a general idea of what programming languages you might like to learn, but also claim that you'll be a well-rounded developer by the end. Then there are people that became developers in 3 months, and even only 2 months. My background is in psychology, a field which normally requires years of focused, regulated study. So at first, I was dubious about this mantra, even if it did sound exciting. But the sheer amount of enthusiastic success stories I found was impressive. I realized it must be possible for anyone to get into development, and fast. Something I noticed, though, is that no one online course recommended the same way to learn. In fact, some courses made what they called vital recommendations that other courses didn't even mention. This seemed pretty confusing for me. I was fascinated to know why all these different courses existed and how they'd helped so many people. Before I talk about this, I'd like to backtrack a little. I may have only become serious about web development a year ago, but my path into it actually began 16 years ago, and it started with cats. In the year 2000, I was given an opportunity to go on a short course to learn how to build websites. I made a website about cats that had a minty green background, multiple pages, and lots of cute pictures. Unfortunately, it was lost forever when my parents' old Windows 95 computer was thrown out. Around this time, I also began playing on Neopets, where I was able to add content and style to web pages. A few years later, I did the same on MySpace. I really enjoyed designing pages, but didn't take my development skills any further. In 2008, it was time for me to choose what I wanted to study, and I had to choose between the two things that I liked the most, art and science, and I chose what I thought was the more serious of the two. Over the next 8 years, I did all of this. There's loads of stuff there, 2 degrees, traveling, meeting tons of people, and loads of work. In mid-2016, I settled in sunny Brighton by the sea and began working, hoping to eventually train as a psychologist. However, I was told that I didn't have enough experience to do this. Unbelievable. It turns out, though, that all the stories on web dev that I'd heard had reminded me of how fun it was to code with cats. I searched online for a web dev meetup and was lucky enough to find CodeBar. CodeBar is a free meetup that helps make the tech industry more accessible to underrepresented groups. You got that? My first meeting amazed me. I couldn't believe that companies fed and accommodated the students and that organisers and coaches took so much of their spare time to help beginner programmers like me. And yet, that is me in the pink jumper, looking like I'm smiling to myself. I had a demanding full-time job, but CodeBar was there to motivate and inspire me to learn as much as I could. Less than 9 months later, I was offered an internship at an established design agency who wanted to pay me to learn. After 8 years of study and work, I couldn't get the internship that I wanted in psychology. I asked myself why it's different for developers. I think it's largely because the pace of change in web development is so fast. University courses can't keep up with the pace of change in frameworks and tools, and so the courses get out of date very quickly. And online resources can be updated and renewed very regularly, keeping them up to date and relevant to the needs of developers and the web. So, the web moves fast. If developers don't jump on the fast-moving train, they risk getting left behind. I wondered if those with an entry-level ticket lacked something. Psychologists can only begin work with a wide range of skills for handling multiple situations and working really well with and for people. I worried that some developers employed at an entry level might lack essential skills for working really well with and for people, and also have a lack of appreciation for how hard this can actually be. If psychologists spend a long time upping their skills before being hired, then perhaps developers could and should do the same after being hired. But then I thought, well, how can developers do this? The only way I can answer this is to look back on my experiences in psychology and how these have helped me as a developer so far. I'd already found that both the web and psychology are people-oriented. In the spirit of this conference, I imagine them both as materials. As materials, they work best user or people-centered. They're strong when the people using them communicate well. Their use requires multidisciplinary teams. Using them can be emotionally draining. And when used right, they have the power to delight people. So, psychology and the web are similar in quite people-centered ways. Once I realized this, it wasn't hard to figure out how my experience in psychology has helped me grow as a developer. I grouped together my findings. You'll see how they're all connected to each other. Together, they help me weave together the materials of psychology and the web. I'm going to use the term users to describe both the customers of psychology work and the customers of web development work. Empathy is seen as a buzzword in tech today and something people talk about more and more. It's very important, but also complex and misunderstood. And it's difficult to define what it is without actually seeing how it's done. There are a number of ways that psychologists harness the power of empathy. Psychologists naturally always think not just of, but like users. They not only think of how a user might be feeling, but they think like them. Seeing things from the user's perspective in order to help them is the whole point behind the job. Some of you might agree that the point of a web developer's job is exactly the same. We all want to delight users and provide a great experience for them. Working in psychology, I always had direct contact with every user. I heard their stories and saw things from their perspectives. Doing this, I was able to go above and beyond in my care for them. The delight that they experienced from even tiny improvements in their care was huge, and I always saw massive differences in their well-being. In web development, finding time to go a little bit further for our users, even a tiny bit, will likely serve to delight them as well. Empathy is also very important to have for other members in our team. Over the last 8 years, I worked in multidisciplinary teams consisting of so many different people. These are but a few of them. I've got some awful memories of teams I was a part of who just weren't aware of the need to see things from other people's perspectives. And this always led to lots of confusion and really unhelpful and really negative communication. And this negativity always found a way to twist and coil its way through the team and made everyone feel terrible and demotivated. But I was lucky to work in some teams who thought and cared about each other's perspectives, and this made everyone in the team happy. It made everyone want to come to work and do the best job that they could. These are a few of the people in a web team that I wrote down off the top of my head, no particular order. Web teams are also multidisciplinary. Where I'm interning, there is a fun and social atmosphere. The founder of the company sets this in motion for everyone who works there by being so open and approachable. This positivity twists its way through the team, resulting in a safe and relaxed atmosphere that people actually enjoy working in. We're also helped feel safe to make suggestions, and not only on projects, but about how the company is run as a whole. And this not only empowers the team, but it's also good for the company. So it's like a win-win. I'm really happy when I hear about what other companies are doing to provide a great developer experience, as well as a great user experience. Etsy put effort into doing this. They've thought hard about how to build trust in their teams. And one thing they do is run regular sessions called blameless postmortems, which teach teams about empathy and to focus on how mistakes were made rather than who made them. When you consider the thoughts and feelings of your team, you also get something for free. Yay, free stuff. You automatically get better at considering your own thoughts and feelings. You learn how to empathize with yourself. I'm guessing that everyone sitting here today has emotions. It's very important to take care of yourself when you're working with people to avoid emotional burnout. Spending a lot of time thinking about the needs of others and about how to make them happy can be very emotionally draining, especially when your efforts fall flat. But this is the nature of the job, so what can you do? In my previous jobs, I was always reminded of my work-life balance and always had access to formal supervision where I could talk about it. There were numerous times when I arranged sometimes urgent and tearful one-to-one meetings with a trusted supervisor who helped me bring the balance back. I think that supervision might not be viewed with the same importance in web development, even though making stuff for the web can be as draining as psychology work. Web developers spend a long time figuring out what clients want, what users need, and what tools best achieve these things. In addition, they're also thinking of what other members in their team need, and this is all on top of the actual design or development work that needs to be done. Some companies go to great efforts to help their staff stay balanced. Airbnb not only launched initiatives around employee care, but shifted the entire culture of employee care. For an explanation on how they did this, go to their site. They've got lots of details there. Airbnb are also very aware of the power of education and seeking out the best ways to learn. I love learning. A standard part of any psychology degree is learning about a huge range of topics and drawing information from as many sources as possible. The goal is for each student to form their own unique toolbox of practices and ideas so that by the time they graduate, they'll not only know what works best, but how they work best as practitioners. This ties back to empathy. Psychologists are people too. How they feel about the work they do matters and can affect a user's experience. Since beginning web dev, I've learned from as many sources as I could to get to grips with anything and everything to do with the web. A year ago, I had no idea what an HTTP request was, or what a cookie did, or what the hell a CMS or a framework was. I've definitely gotten a good start at building a toolbox of ideas and practices to use on the web. And because the web changes so fast, I don't think I'll ever stop adding to it. Most ideas in psychology come from a huge number of theories thought up by people who are now long gone. But because the web is so new, the theories are newer, ever-changing, contested, and the people with them are very much alive. Some of you might have noticed that developers can be quite opinionated. But I think that aside from the flame wars, opinions are a fantastic thing. In psych terms, you can imagine that opinions form nodes that connect to form a strong, smart neural network. In tech terms, you might see each opinion as a data point. We've all heard how big data helps us form really accurate predictions. Gathering as many opinions as you can might work the same way. And in this way, they can help developers make sense of what works and how they work best. Another hugely important part of my web education has come from mentors. Not only do I get the benefit from their years of distilled wisdom, experience, and collections of opinions so big they'd probably need cloud storage, but they also give me plenty of feedback on my work. This feedback is awesome because, first, it's brutally honest, and second, it's actionable. It's advice I can actually use to go out into the wild and improve my skills. More and more developers like Dan Moore, pictured here, are realizing that mentorship is a great way to help aspiring developers to learn about the web. His 9-month program allows his students to access quality advice and feedback. You can read a lot more about his great ideas online. Mentors have really improved my confidence in many ways, and through this, they've also motivated me to find lots of experiences. Experiences are celebrated in psychology because they take students from the stuffy, overcrowded lecture halls that they're required to sit in for years and get them out doing stuff in the real world. They combine theory with practice, which is the fork in the road where people figure out just what it's like to do real work. I've gotten so much value from experiences over the years, and to this day, I'll still choose them over sleep. In 1 year, I've experienced CodeBar, been to JavaScript meetups, UX meetups, public speaking clubs and workshops, writing workshops, conferences, and dedicated web camps. I've volunteered, shadowed, been mentored, begun an internship, become an organizer at CodeBar, and I'm standing here speaking to you today. And I've learned so much. I love advocating for experiences, and I'm really happy when I see other people in the web community doing the same. Rachel Narbers, cartoonist turned web developer, urges us to do things outside of work, to write, to speak, and to create. Matthias Ott, user experience designer, wrote an article advising those who work on the web to leave the beaten track and seek out new experiences. Michael Gunner, front-end developer, told me that he wants the small development company he works for to do more than WordPress development. By seeking experiences, he's already plugged gaps in his knowledge and started a bunch of new projects. This one might be my favorite. A CodeBar student who has been regularly attending for a few months happily told me that she's gained confidence, and CodeBar was a place that she could come where she's able to relax and focus on building her skills. And I think this is such a great experience for her to have. One last quote. What Corey House, established web developer, is saying is that going to conferences is an experience that exposes him to opinions from other developers. It helps him learn what to learn, which guides him towards making better decisions on the web. It helps him take an active part in steering the fast-moving train of web development. As you can probably tell, I am passionate about applying what I know to web development. But I am only one person, and psychology is only one material. Many people working on the web dev train boarded from different professional fields. Remember, anyone can be a developer. I know of lawyers, marine biologists, musicians, and many more who have all made the switch. I'd be excited to find out what developers or anyone could learn from these materials. Okay, show of hands, please. Who thinks we'd all benefit from looking at what other materials are doing? Yay. People working on the web train are traveling fast, and anyone can come along for the ride, but it's not easy. We are humans designing for humans and can only steer ourselves in a good direction and towards a good destination if we listen to, learn from, and inspire each other. Thank you.
We'll take your laptop.